All right, welcome back. I don't know if you prefer vertical mode or horizontal mode, but I guess you guys will definitely tell me tomorrow on Monday. So this is an example of a word problem. One of the word problems. It says, let's read it together real quick. If Kyle works more than 40 hours per week, his hourly wage for the extra hours is 1.5 times the normal hourly wage of $10 per hour. Write a piecewise function that gives Kyle's weekly pay in terms of the number of hours he works. Determine how much Kyle will get paid if he works 45 hours. All right. So, what are we doing? Write a piecewise function. So, when it says write a piecewise function, right, that means it's going to want us to do the f of x thing with the big fancy brackets. Remember, that is what a piecewise function is. That gives Kyle's weekly pay in terms of the number of hours. So that means we're going to have basically P of X or P of H, let's say. P of H is equal to, right? So if you say if Kyle works more than, right? More than. What does that sound like? That sounds like this symbol right here, right? So we know that these 40 hours is going to be part of our domain, part of our window, right? So we have if Kyle works more than 40 hours per week, his hourly wage for the extra hour is 1.5 the normal hourly wage of $10 per hour. So when he works at 40 or less than 40, this is saying that he gets $10 per hour. So if he works, let's ignore this for now. I'm just gonna do that. So like, let's say if he works 5 hours, right? He gets paid $10 per hour. So that means he'll get $50. $10 per hour. Maybe I should say per hour. There we go. $10 per hour, right? If he works 3 hours, that means he gets $30. So you know this. So you guys kind of, I'm hoping, understand that, like, it's basically the number of hours he works times the number of the amount he makes. So it would be times 10. So it would be 3 times 10 or 5 times 10. So what we can do here is we can do it 10 times h, right? This basically means for every hour he works, he makes $10. That's what it is. But he's not always making 10h. He's making 10h up until 40 hours. So it's when he works 0 hours. Would Kyle make any money working 0 hours? No, you don't get any money for working 0 hours. What you do get money for is once you start working. So this is going to be a less than and not equal to, because at 0, he won't make anything. And we have H. So this is H because this is H right here. I forgot my comma. And then we have 40, less than or equal to 40. Once he's at 40, he'll make $40 an hour. All right, so now we have, let's say if we had a graph here, right? And this is hours and this is money, right? Every 1 hour he makes $10, 10, 20, 30, 40, so on and so forth, right? Until he reaches the 40-hour mark. At the 40-hour mark, he makes where does it say? It's 1.5 times the normal hourly wage. So he makes 1.5 times 10h, which ends up being 15h. However, if we were to just go according to this, right, we are ignoring the fact that from 0 hours to 40 hours, he only made $10 per hour. So there's two ways you can do this. the first way you can do this is our equation is going to be, remember, it's supposed to be y equals mx plus b, right? Mx plus b, right? And we can set these two equal to each other. So if we have 10h, we have m, our m is 1.5, right? Or 1.5 times 10, which is equal to 15h, right? Or m x. Here, x is h because of just how the equation is set up, right? So we have 15h plus b is equal to 10h. We set this equal to at 40, right? So we put h is equal to 40 because that's where this change happens. This change happens right at the 40 mark. So we do 15 times 40 plus b is equal to 10 times 40. 15 times 40 is 600 plus b. 10 times 40 is 400. b is equal to, subtract the 600 from both sides, minus 600, minus 600. b is equal to negative 200. So now we know our equation is going to be, let me rewrite it down here. Our equation is going to be the pay per hour is equal to, I'm going to just pull this up, 10h from 0 to 40. And then this bottom one is going to be, we have our m, which is 15h, right? So we have 15h minus b, which is negative 200, or plus b, which is negative 200. And then where does this start? This starts kicking in at the 40-hour mark. So we have 40, which is less than, because it was, you only get $10 per hour at the 40-hour mark. Once you leave 40, you start making a little bit more. Less than h, which is less than, here the book says it will go on forever, but you actually have a limited number of hours you can work in a week, right? So if there are 24 hours in a day times 7 days a week, that ends up being 168, right? 24 hours in a day, 7 days in a week. So the maximum number of hours you can work in a week is 168 hours. And there you have your two system of equations. So now we have a second part. It says, determine how much Kyle will get paid if he works 45 hours, right? So we want to know how much he'll get paid. Let's see if I can slide this up a little bit. This is the black one. If he gets paid 45 hours, h is equal to 45. So what we want to know is we could just plug it into one of these equations. The question is, which equation do we plug it into? And where you do that, you look at your domain. So where does 45 fall in between? Is 45 between 0 and 40, or is it between 40 and 168? That's right. It's between 40 and 168. So that means we use this equation. So we would just plug this into that equation, which would look like something like this. 15 times 45 minus 200. All right. And that's what our pay is going to equal. P of 45. This ends up being, off the top of my head, I cannot. 15, 45. Says that I'm being 675 minus 200. He ends up getting paid is equal to 6 minus 2 is $475. So you can say when Kyle works 45 hours, he ends up getting $475. So that's your answer to the second part. And this equation right here, this whole thing, is your answer to the first part. All right. I highly recommend going through the practice problems and trying this out. And yeah, pay attention. I want to say pay attention to the words. If you see more than or things like that, that's going to be your domain, your range, like this range right here. If you say 1.5 times or like hourly wage or hourly rate per excuse me, per hour, per something, that's probably going to be your M, your slope. And yeah, I highly recommend looking at the practice problems on the classwork. And if you've made it this far, congratulations, you're going to have an opportunity for extra credit. Draw your favorite Pixar character on your test, and I will give you a few points of extra credit. Just a little reward to those who stayed to the end. Good luck, everybody. You got this. Keep practicing.